For most of modern history, a single stone has carried an impossible weight. It has stood in for love, permanence, sacrifice, and status, compressed into something small enough to fit on a finger. Not because nature decided it should, but because someone else did. Behind polished glass and soft lighting, a quiet agreement was made between power and perception. An agreement that taught generations what was valuable, what was worthy, and what forever was supposed to look like. The stone didn't change. The story around it did. And now, a new stone, identical in every way that physics can measure, is threatening to unravel a century-old illusion. So the real question isn't whether diamonds are rare. It's whether belief itself can survive once the system that built it is exposed. Diamonds sit at the intersection of emotion and economics. They are sold as symbols, but priced like assets, marketed as timeless, yet traded inside one of the most carefully managed supply chains in modern history. For most of the 20th century, one company shaped this reality more than any government or cultural institution ever could: De Beers. At its peak, De Beers controlled nearly 90% of the world's diamond supply, not through superior craftsmanship or innovation, but through ownership, coordination, and control. Mines across Africa, sorting centers in Europe, vaults were stocked not for demand but for discipline. This wasn't just a jewelry business. It was a pricing system, a psychological operation, a global lesson in how value can be constructed, protected, and defended. Diamonds became embedded into culture so deeply that refusing one felt like refusing love itself. Engagements, weddings, anniversaries, moments of human meaning quietly tied to a corporate strategy designed decades earlier. But every system built on perception faces the same risk. When technology changes faster than belief, when chemistry challenges mythology, and when identical products shatter artificial scarcity, the story stops being about romance and starts becoming about power. And to understand why the diamond world is now quietly panicking, we have to go back to the beginning, before diamonds meant forever, before they meant love, when they were just another rock pulled from the ground. The diamond story did not begin with romance. It began with dirt, labor, and control. In the late 1800s, massive diamond deposits were discovered in South Africa. What was expected to be a brief rush quickly turned into a flood. Diamonds were no longer rare curiosities for royalty. They were becoming abundant. And abundance is dangerous to anyone trying to sell luxury. Enter Cecil Rhodes. Rhodes understood something fundamental about power. Ownership of production means ownership of price. By consolidating mines, buying out competitors, and squeezing independence, he laid the groundwork for what would later become De Beers' Consolidated Mines. This wasn't innovation. It was architecture, an invisible structure designed to decide how many diamonds reached the world and how many stayed hidden in vaults. By the early 20th century, De Beers wasn't reacting to the market. It was disciplining it. Diamonds were stockpiled, not sold. Supply was restricted even as demand wavered. Prices were stabilized not by value, but by absence. When demand fell, diamonds disappeared. When demand rose, diamonds reappeared. Always just enough, never too many. But there was a deeper problem. Even with control of supply, diamonds still lacked meaning. They were expensive, but not essential, beautiful, but optional, a luxury without emotional gravity. So De Beers did something far more powerful than mining. They rewrote culture. In 1938, facing declining demand during the Great Depression, De Beers hired the advertising firm N.W. Iyer. The mission wasn't to sell diamonds, it was to sell permanence, commitment, eternity. That's where the slogan was born: "A diamond is forever." 4 words that would quietly reshape global behavior. Hollywood was seeded with diamonds. Celebrities were photographed wearing them. Engagements without diamonds were framed as incomplete. The stone was no longer a product, it was a moral expectation. And with that, the foundation was complete. A common carbon crystal had been transformed into a sacred object. Scarcity was manufactured. Desire was programmed. And a monopoly disguised itself as tradition. What followed wasn't growth, it was dominance. And dominance always invites disruption. For decades, De Beers, dominance was unquestioned. Boardrooms in London and Johannesburg orchestrated supply with military-like precision. Mines produced diamonds, sorting offices rationed them, and vaults swallowed the excess. Every carat was accounted for, not just mined, but managed. By the mid-20th century, their grip extended worldwide. Europe, North America, Japan, De Beers dictated prices almost everywhere, not through competition but through control, not innovation but consolidation, not persuasion but orchestration. But systems built on control are fragile, and the first cracks came from technology. Lab-grown diamonds, once the stuff of science fiction, entered the market quietly. Unlike natural diamonds, these stones could be produced without mining. Chemically, physically, and optically identical to the real thing. Even trained jewelers couldn't distinguish them without a specialized $10,000 machine. The illusion of scarcity, the foundation of De Beers' empire, was now challenged by reality. At first, the industry dismissed them. They were synthetic, cheap, novelties. But as production costs fell and quality rose, lab-grown diamonds became impossible to ignore. In just 5 years, prices dropped by more than 70%. A 2-carat lab diamond could now cost the same as a 0.5-carat mined stone. And then came De Beers' counterattack. Rather than embracing the technology, they created lightbox diamonds. Priced at just $800 per carat, lightbox diamonds were deliberately positioned as fashion jewelry, a low-cost alternative meant to protect the prestige of mined stones. The strategy signaled to the world, lab-grown diamonds are toys, not investments. Preserve the illusion of scarcity. Keep mined diamonds untouchable. But the move backfired. Consumers quickly recognized that identical quality could come at a fraction of the cost. Scarcity could no longer dictate desire. Control was slipping. The empire built on perception faced an identity crisis it could not easily resolve. And it wasn't just lab-grown diamonds shaking the market. Economic shifts, ethical awareness, and the rise of conscious consumerism all chipped away at the mythology. Diamonds were no longer just symbols. They were scrutinized, compared, questioned. By the 2020s, the world of luxury diamonds had changed forever. The story that once commanded obedience now faced competition, exposure, and the unyielding logic of chemistry and economics. De Beers, once untouchable, was reacting for the first time in its history, and the world was watching. What made diamonds valuable wasn't the stone, it was the system. De Beers mastered artificial scarcity. By controlling supply, they created the illusion of rarity. By stockpiling millions of carats in vaults, they ensured prices never dropped. A diamond in your hand was not just a gemstone, it was proof of a market engineered for profit. They also mastered psychology. The slogan, "A diamond is forever," didn't just sell a product, it sold a story. Love, eternity, commitment, all tied to a commodity. Every engagement ring reinforced the monopoly. Every photograph of a diamond celebrity amplified it. Desire became a habit. Tradition became leverage. Even the resale market was controlled, or more accurately, absent. Diamonds are one of the worst investments in luxury. Walk out of a store and most stones instantly lose 50% of their value. No public exchange, no liquidity, no true secondary market. The profit engine runs not on resale but on perception, buying, gifting, and believing. When lab-grown diamonds arrived, this hidden engine was exposed. A chemically identical stone for a fraction of the price revealed that scarcity was manufactured, not natural. The illusion of eternity had a flaw. Even the lightbox strategy was a hidden lever. By pricing lab-grown diamonds low, De Beers attempted to protect mined diamonds' perceived value. It was an acknowledgement that profit doesn't lie in nature. It lies in control, in narrative, in the systems that govern desire. In the end, the true commodity wasn't carbon, it was a belief. And belief, once challenged, is fragile. Every diamond purchased carries more than price, it carries history. The miners who extracted these stones often worked under extreme conditions, their labor invisible to the world above. The families who saved, borrowed, and sometimes sacrificed for a single carat were participating in a system they didn't fully understand. Love, status, and wealth intertwined with an empire built on control and perception. Consumers, too, were caught in the story. An engagement ring was not just a personal choice, it was a cultural expectation, a reflection of identity, and an affirmation of tradition. What felt like a romantic act was also participation in a century-old strategy. Lab-grown diamonds, however, are reshaping this narrative. They offer affordability, transparency, and ethics without compromise. People can now choose value without sacrificing meaning. The identity of the diamond has shifted from an untouchable luxury to a symbol of conscious choice. And yet, the emotional power of the diamond persists. Systems shape behavior, but human desire remains adaptable. Every purchase echoes decades of history, engineered scarcity, and cultural reinforcement. Every decision now reflects a tension between tradition and transformation. In this world, there are no simple heroes or villains. There is only the intricate dance of economics, psychology, and human aspiration. And in that dance, the story of diamonds is still being written. The diamond empire that once seemed unshakable now faces a turning point. A century of control, marketing, and carefully engineered scarcity is colliding with chemistry, technology, and shifting consumer values. De Beers' story reminds us that value is not inherent, it is constructed. Scarcity can be manufactured, desire can be guided, belief can be monetized, and yet, even the most powerful systems are vulnerable to change. Lab-grown diamonds are not just stones, they are a challenge to tradition, a disruption of perception, and a test of cultural inertia. They ask a quiet question: how much of what we pay for is real and how much is story? For the consumer, the miner, the investor, and the dreamer, the lesson is clear. Wealth and value are never absolute. They are a reflection of the structures we inherit, the narratives we embrace, and the choices we make. The diamond story is far from over. Every carat bought or ignored, every stone mined or grown, continues to shape a legacy of power, control, and belief. What will you believe? What will you value? And in the end, whose story will you choose to carry forward?